Hello, my name is Dr. Liz Dintz and I'm one of the Careers Advisors at the University of Central Lancashire. This recording, titled Part 2, Interview Ready, is part of a series of recordings that has been made for staff who find themselves under redeployment. If you watched Part 1, you will have already heard my introduction to myself. However, just in case you haven't, I'm just going to reiterate that information. So I've been a careers professional for over 15 years and I've worked at the University of Central Lancashire for more than 11 years. Over that period, I've also been external examiner for London South Bank University and Canterbury Christchurch for their MA in Career Guidance. I completed my own PhD in Reflective Practice and Career Guidance in 2013. Part 2, titled Interview Ready. So today this is what we are going to cover. So the introduction to the session, 5 top mistakes, the 3 P's to a successful interview: preparation, practice, and positivity. Within preparation, research you and research the questions, how to answer, including power words and STAR, practice makes perfect, ways to practice and using Career Edge, positivity, mindset, dress and body language are some of the areas that we're going to cover today. So at this point, I just want you to take a few minutes just to have a think about some of the top mistakes that people make when approaching interviews. If you've got a piece of pen and paper, you could write these down. You could even pause the recording at this point. Here are some of the 5 top mistakes: arriving unprepared, dressing inappropriate, talking too much or not enough, criticising previous employers or colleagues, and failing to ask questions. We will pick a number of these themes up as we progress through the presentation. So we're going to make a start getting through these sections on preparation, practice, and positivity. Let's start with the preparation. Research you and your questions. In part 1, we went into more detail about self-awareness and auditing your own skills. This slide is just a reminder, and when you get the PowerPoint you can click through from here, that again it is worth time reassessing your skills. Spend a little time and remind yourself of what you wrote on the redeployment registration form. Also spend some time looking at the job specification. Remember, the job specification is key for your interview questions. We'll look at this in a bit more detail in a moment. Whilst the job specification that we're looking at might not be the one that you're using at the moment, it gives you an idea how to start from taking the category on the specification and then pulling that into a document where you can compile evidence. Here we're just looking at the ability to inspire, manage and motivate students. Here you would make some notes on how you might answer that question. Start by taking your practice a little bit further. Think about the criteria on the job specification. In front of these areas, put a question like, tell me about a time when. Give me example of. Over on the right, you'll see, give me an example of a time when you inspired or managed or motivated a student to achieve a goal. This is the way you start to develop your questions from the job specification. If you're finding it difficult to think of questions that you might be asked, on this slide you'll see a number of areas that will give you example questions. In the PowerPoint, I put all the links to the different websites that can help you with this. Over on the right hand side, we can see a list of some questions from prospects. In that, you'll see a question about what are your weaknesses. You may get asked this in an interview, and it's really key that you think about a weakness that you've turned into a strength and how you've improved and developed yourself is a great example when you're answering your question. At this point, I just want you to pause again and think about how will you answer those questions. Do you know of any tools or approaches that you could use? Just let's pause and think. If you don't, we're going to cover that next. And if you do, it'll be a recap for you. Firstly, before we get into that, we're also going to think about powerful words to use in an interview. Again, it is really important to think about the language and the words we use when you're in an interview situation. Over on the right, we see a list. I can, I will, respect, experience, goals, flexibility are a few. And there is a link here to the full list. It is really important to think about how you use language, because some language can leave a negative impact or a sense of negativity when the interviewer hears your reply. I'm not sure if you've used STAR before or had the practice in an interview situation or even know what it means. So we're just going to briefly cover what STAR is and how to use it. STAR stands for identifying the situation or problem you solved or encountered. What was the specific task or targets, the who, the what, the when, and the where. Detail your actions. What did you do and how did you do it? Explain the results, the quantities, the savings, the accomplishments, and the recognitions is really important in the R section. You'll see a number of links here to different resources to tell you more about STAR. And here is a little example of how it might work in practice. The situation, you give more detail. In my last role as team leader, my team was short-staffed. Your task, as the team leader, what did you do? The actions, what things did you do? What approaches did you take? And the result, were you commended at the end? Did you get feedback? Did you save the department money? Think about all these things in the result. Here are a few top tips for the interview situation. It's really important to think, if you know the interviewer, do not fall into the trap that you do not fully explain your evidence because you think they know you. If they are doing their job properly on the day, they will treat each candidate as they see them on the day. You must explain your experience in full and make sure you use I. Remember to sell your unique selling points. Be confident, positive, and enthusiastic. Prepare for those difficult questions and think of questions you could ask the interviewer too. Here we go into practice makes perfect. Think about ways that you can practice. It is really important, as we said, practice makes perfect. You can practice yourself at home, in front of your computer or your phone. Ask yourself the question and then play it back. You can even practice in the mirror. This is a really good way to observe your own eye contact and your body language. Or you could ask a friend to ask you some questions and give you some feedback. And you could even do this through Skype or FaceTime. As well as that, think of other ways to practice and prepare. On Career Edge, you can see a screenshot across the page here on the right. There's a number of sections to help you prepare further. You can go into the sections and there's different tasks and resources you can draw from. On the page, when you get the PowerPoint, you'll find the link, but today we're not going to go into this. Consider a mock interview a way to prepare for the real situation. Refresh your approach and practice about how you will sell yourself on the day. You can consider this and contact HR about having a mock interview. It's really important to think positively, to think about mindset, passion, enthusiasm and body language, and this section is going to look at this. Again, I want you to pause for a little bit. If you've got a piece of paper and a pen, maybe make a note of your thoughts and emotions at the moment. What do you think your mindset is like in relation to what you're experiencing in the workplace at the moment? From this, spend some time and work through some of these areas. Again, on the right, you can see the section from Career Edge. There is a number of sections, but there is a section around mindset and about being positive. And again, you can see here your strengths. Spend some time and go through and have a think about these areas, as it will impact on how you come across in an interview. Think about how you dress, and you might not think this is as important. You already work at UCLan and people know you, but remember, first impressions are important, and it is important to make an effort on the day. Think about what you will wear and how you will come across. It's also important to think about some of the do's and the don'ts when you're in interview situation. It is really important to make eye contact with the person who's interviewing you and the panel. If there is a number of people, make sure you share your eye contact with the different individuals that are on the panel. Use your hands, smile, and mirror language and techniques. Don't slouch, don't be touching your face, and don't be moving about too much, as it is distracting in the interview situation. Today, we've covered 3 P's to a successful interview: preparation, practice, and positivity. Take your time, work through the presentation, pause it, and think about these areas in more detail. Remember, Career Edge is a really important resource. You have access to this as a member of staff. In this part 2, we haven't gone into Career Edge as we did in part 1, but you can spend some time and have a look in the different sections. Again, a reminder, there is a full section on preparing for an interview. Once you've watched the recording, you could also speak to HR and ask about what further support is available to you. Thank you, good luck, goodbye today.